OurDinnerisDunn. I'm Sally.
And I'm Jimmy.
This is our first ever live stream. We are two special education teachers. We are married and we like to cook. That was our son in the background. You hear him giggling. Tonight we are going to make tuna Puttanesca pasta and with linguine. And I see some people on the chat already, so yay. It's a full screen. Everybody can see it up here. That's
Okay.
just the way it's showing up there. Hello everyone. Hello. But we're gonna get started. I missed your FaceTime. We were a little busy with the baby.
What's up, Kiwi?
We see Matt Kiwi joined us.
See Matt Kiwi.
And my brother, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
So, what's going on? Okay, so we're going to get started. Hopefully we might have a couple people join us. I'll be checking the chat sporadically, but this is a very super easy dinner to make. Want to tell them what we got here?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to make a tuna puttanesca. So Peter would not like this because it has seafood in it, but it is tuna, so it's a bit milder. So super simple ingredients, easy meal, and great to make on a Friday because I just finished a week back at school teaching and teaching half remotely, half in person, so I really don't want to do too much teaching. So we're going to use a pound of linguine. Store-bought is perfect. We're using Barilla. You can just kind of get whatever linguine you prefer. I use a long noodle for this, so linguine, spaghetti, bucatini will all work out. Base of our sauce is going to be canned plum tomatoes. You just want to make sure that it's Italian and that the can name ends in a vowel. So we have cento, peeled plum tomatoes. We're going to have a little crushed red pepper to spice it up a touch. We'll have some capers, add some nice brininess to it, the dish, some nice pops of that brininess. Some fresh ground pepper, coarse kosher salt, that's going to be used a little bit in the dish itself and to salt up the water. Some nice extra virgin olive oil, and of course our star is going to be tuna. Not bumblebee, not chicken of the sea that Jessica Simpson couldn't figure out. This is Italian tuna, so you can tell it's Italian because it's got a little flag on there. Also ends in the name. The name ends in a vowel. So this is Portofino solid yellowfin tuna. So not albacore. Albacore is going to be a thicker cut, a little bit chunkier, a little bit grayer in its color. You're going to find that in most tuna salads that you're going to have on a sandwich.
Right, or sandwich.
Yeah, but the Portofino, we had this, the first time we had a type of Italian tuna like this was actually in Italy. And Sally just fell in love with it.
It's delicious.
Really enjoyed it. So when we got home, pretty soon after Sally was pregnant, so she couldn't have tuna.
Yeah.
So I sought out some Italian tuna for her, and through the quarantine and lots of Amazon work, we ended up finding this Portofino brand, which has been excellent.
Yeah, which has been great. Make sure that you get tuna in olive oil. You want to use the olive oil that gives it the most flavor. But it's a really simple dish. This is all that you need for it. Right now we already have our water boiling up, so I can actually use some of that salt. And you're going to salt it to taste like the sea. You want to put a lot of salt in this boiling water because that's what flavors the pasta up. So this is boiling, so I'm going to do that. And in the meantime, you could show them what comes next.
Yep. So while Sally's getting that ready, we're going to use some garlic cloves. So you want to have fresh garlic. We're just going to open that up and use the back of my knife just to open up the clove. You can just break off. Now, garlic is to your taste, so we're saying somewhere between 3 and 5 will work for this dish. It's really at your preference about how much garlic you like. We enjoy garlic, so we're going to go with the full 5 for this dish.
We like to add a lot of garlic.
Yeah, but that's really your preference.
Let me just check the chat for a little bit. Hello everyone who's joined us. We've got some viewers. I see some familiar names on here when I visited my brother's chats before. So hi to you all. And let's get back to cooking. If you have any questions, let us know. That's actually true too. If you have any questions about what we're doing or what we're using, please let us know. You might be able to hear our baby back there piping in too every
He's
once
sitting
in a
in
while.
his high chair
Watching
and
us go.
chilling, so that's who I might be waving at.
And also, when you add your pasta to the boiling water, you want to cook it before it's just shy of al dente. When you cook it too al dente, it's almost a little bit too much because it's going to continue to cook once you add it to the mixture. So this takes about like 8 minutes or so on our stove. Should I put it in right now, or do you want to get started with this first?
I'm gonna prep the garlic first, and then you could throw it
All right,
inside.
so let's do this first, and
Cool. So we're gonna do the garlic clove. So we're gonna do it old school with a knife. My mom did, however, get us some fun tools that make peeling garlic easier,
Hi, Mom.
including a garlic little press. But we're gonna do it old school, and we'll use the toys another day. So you're gonna take your garlic clove, take your knife with the sharp end away from you, just place it on top of the clove and press down just to smash it. That's gonna remove the skin from the clove itself. And we're just gonna repeat that process for each one.
This is the time for me to check too. So let's see. Oh, Peter, that's funny. Hi, Mom. Mom showed up in mine, not in yours.
Is she here? Dot dot dot.
Yeah. I'm not sure if your mom has joined us. I know that she was going to try. If you are here, Babs, give us a shout. I know that you wanted to join us too.
Landed heads up. Giving it back to him.
Oh.
We had a pacifier down.
Pacifier down in the high chair. But here we go. So we've got the garlic getting ready to be put in. Would you like me to heat up the oil in here?
Yeah, you can get that started.
So let's get that started. We use extra virgin olive oil. You could use whatever your preference is. We tend to just buy whatever's on sale. So that's what we do. Put a little bit in your pan, and you're gonna want to heat it up for the garlic. I think that's enough right here.
That's solid.
Okay. And should I start it on medium, high?
Medium's perfect.
Medium heat. Okay, so we're gonna get started with the medium flame and get this going. While that heats up, he'll add his. Oh, good. I see some people that said that they were excited, so thank you. This is fun. We're excited too. We've thought about doing something like this for a little while. Like we said, we like to cook. It's something that we like to do here at home. We've done a lot of it during quarantine.
Quite a lot.
I will say, I'll be completely honest, I am not the best cook in the house. Jimmy takes that title. He spoils me very, very much when it comes to dinner. I can handle my own in the kitchen, but he's much more adventurous with what he cooks and usually much more flavorful.
It's really just about being a little bit heavy-handed with your salt and pepper. I think that really makes all the difference. So it's tough to see from here, but when I'm cutting these garlic cloves, what I'm going to do is I'm going to face them lengthwise or long ways so that the end of the garlic clove is facing away from me. So you'll know the end because it's kind of a little bit harder, and it's what binds everything together. So I'm going to face that away from me, and then I'm going to make cuts going towards the opposite end, but I'm not going to cut all the way through in the slices. So I'm almost fanning it out so that there's space between each slice. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it along the bias twice, if there's enough room. And now that I have that cut, it's almost fanned out as if it was a flower blooming. And then I can just make cuts going down the side, and that's going to cube my garlic perfectly.
Yep, and I'll make it really nice and small, nice and tidy, and kind of uniform, which evens out the cooking time. I'm going to lower this heat just a little bit.
Sure.
Just because it's been on for a bit. We don't want it to burn. This, like we said, is a really super easy and fast meal, so it's pretty easy to kind of get all together quickly, and it doesn't take long at all. This is the most tedious part, actually, is getting that garlic ready to go. You're going to brown it up.
Yep. So we have the oil in the pan. It's been heating up. You know your oil's ready when it's moving around the pan enough just to coat it. You can kind of see that it's a little bit more flexible, if you will, in the pan. So I am going to add my capers first because I don't want to burn my garlic. You always see recipes that say add garlic and onions together, and that makes no sense at all because your garlic's only going to take about 30 to 45 seconds, maybe a minute, till it's cooked, and once you burn garlic, it's going to completely augment the flavor of your dish and really kind of ruin it. So you want to make sure you're watching it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to add in, we do the whole pound of pasta here. We eat a lot of pasta in this house. We could, truth be told, we could eat this in like one sitting just between the two of us, but probably, you know, somebody else might want to space it out. But we're going to put the whole thing in the water. It's already been salted and it is boiling. We do not break apart our pasta. That's a big no-no. You see sometimes that people do that where they'll break it apart to get it to fit into the pot, but you don't have to do that. You just put it in and it will soften up and it will all kind of get in there when it's ready, and then you give it a good stir.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to dump that. It's ready to go. And we'll give that a stir in a moment. I'm going to let it soften a little bit, then give it a stir so everything's coated inside. I'm going to help with the pacifier this time. Hi, baby, you've got all these toys here.
All right, so I'm going to use capers. Any brand of capers that you like works. They're in their own brine, which we're going to be using as well. So I'm going to use about 2 ounces, which is going to be, this is a 4-ounce jar, so it's going to be half of that. So it's about 3 scoops, will get me to halfway. And I want to add a little bit of that brine because it's going to add a little bit of that saltiness. So I'm just going to let these simmer for a moment before I add my garlic.
And we can't lower the baby volume. I think he adds a nice little quality to it. He wants to participate. He's already starting to talk a little bit. He's said mama starting last week, which was a great birthday present to me because I turned 35 over the weekend. And he's been saying mama, which is awesome. And it's pretty early because he's only just shy of 6 months old.
Yep. So I've added in my garlic, and I'm just going to let that saute around for a bit. I have my flame, can't really see it, but it's on about a medium to medium low. I wouldn't go above a medium. You don't want to burn your garlic. Slower is going to let it cook through and release that flavor without overcooking it and without burning it. So at the same time, I'm going to add a little bit of pepper.
This is the part that I tend to neglect, or I just never get the flavors quite like he does. I think he's a little bit more heavy-handed with it, and it makes a difference. It tastes better.
Yeah, and I just try and add a little bit of salt and pepper. Every time I'm adding another ingredient, I'm going to salt and pepper it, so I'm layering that flavor.
And it smells delicious in here. I wish you could smell it. One of my favorite scents in the whole world is garlic cooking in some olive oil. We don't have onions in this dish, but a lot of the food that we do make, we use onions and garlic together a ton. If you want, you could see we did a recent post on our Instagram page at OurDinnerisDunn, which was a linguine pasta with anchovies and zucchini, and that had some onions and garlic in it. But we cook a lot of pasta in this house. We love linguine, we love bucatini. We were in Italy a couple years ago for a honeymoon and took a pasta making course, so we've actually done that, homemade pasta, but that's for another day. Tonight we just thought we would do something that was pretty easy. The pasta's been in here for a couple minutes, so I'm just going to set a timer just to remind me because we're talking and I don't want it to overcook, but I'll check it again in about 5 minutes or so.
Cool, so while Sally's doing that, I'm going to add a little crushed red pepper. I don't measure anything, but you can use your hand as a nice measurement. So if you cup your hand right in the palm of the hand, it's going to be about a tablespoon, just a little bit under. So that's probably closer to a teaspoon that's just going in there, the crushed red pepper. It goes pretty far, so you don't need to add too much depending on the heat level that you like. So now this is starting to saute, it's starting to simmer, starting to bubble a little bit. I added the crushed red pepper last because that'll burn off pretty quick. And I'm just taking a look at the color of the garlic to make sure that it doesn't overcook. I don't want it to get to the point where it browns because a couple of seconds after browning it's going to burn. I just want it to start to get a little bit lighter in its color, to lose a little bit of that tanness and to get to a slight translucentness. I don't know if that's a word. To become slightly translucent.
Thank you. Better.
Great that I teach English.
Yes, we are educators. But I think that maybe just talking on camera, it's a little bit more.
It kind of feels like I'm back in school because 4 periods out of the 8 periods out of the day, I'm talking into a computer at students who are learning at home. So it's very weird times.
Right.
So the garlic's come to a nice simmer. A great judgment as well is really how it smells. So it's starting to smell garlic in here, starting to smell fresh. So I'm going to be adding the plum tomatoes from the can without the sauce. So I'm adding those in one at a time, and you just use a fork and fork them in. I'm going to lower the heat a little bit just to buy me the time to get the tomatoes in.
And keep that sauce, you're going to want it. But for right now, just put those tomatoes inside. Looks like you got all of them there.
Got all of them. And once the tomatoes are in, we're just going to break them up. You can either break them up with a fork, a spoon, potato press if you want. If you press down too hard, they're going to spray everywhere because they are full tomatoes,
And they are full of juice.
de-skinned. So you just got to press down lightly, and they'll open up. And that's going to release some extra juice in there to make our base of our sauce.
I'm just going to stir the pasta occasionally, just make sure it's not sticking together. Looks like it's doing its job in here. Let's see, do you have any questions? I see something about the water, and I believe you guys say that my brother tends to have an accent.
A South Jersey accent?
Water is definitely something that they say in southern New Jersey. I went to college there, so I would know, but up where we are from, in the New York City area, I would just say water is not the way we say it. We would say water.
Water.
And if anything, most people say that I have the heaviest accent out of the siblings. I'm not really sure what you think, if you hear it or not, but I tend to get told that I have a pretty heavy accent. So now he's breaking up these tomatoes in the, yeah, maybe you could see it. We'll try to get,
we're working on a second camera.
We're working on a second camera, so maybe
one.
you could get some angles. But this is our first go at this, so hopefully you're able to see what we're doing, and our explanations are enough for this, especially with this kind of easy meal that we've got going on.
Ooh, I caught you.
You did. You know what? You were saying that it probably would have been a good idea to wear some aprons. We do have aprons. I did get him one when we went to Italy on our honeymoon. That's really adorable. And then the only other one that we have is a Christmas one. And I would have had to get it out of storage, so I forgot to do that. So this will just have to go in the wash.
Yep.
These look like they need just a little bit more time.
Alright, which is perfect on the timing. So now I've broken up all the plum tomatoes. There's going to be some chunks. If you don't like chunks, you can just break it up a little bit more. If you really don't like a chunky sauce, you could even go with a can of crushed red tomatoes. But I like the texture that the plum tomatoes really add to this.
Mark, you said when do you add the tuna? It's actually one of the last things that you add because it's already cooked. You don't really want to cook it through that much, so you'll notice that it's one of the later things that we put in. But he did open the cans to get ready for that.
So I had added those plum tomatoes, so I did add a little more salt and pepper to it.
I am just going to check the pasta. Actually, I do want to note that this is a great type of pasta pot actually, because it has the colander already in it. So when you actually get ready to pour the pasta out, you can drain it right from this. You just lift it up and then you can add the pasta right to this dish, and you don't have to worry about losing any of your pasta water, because you're going to want that to bind the sauce later. So don't discard the pasta water. It helps later on. So these noodles look like they're doing pretty well. They're bending like this already. So I'm just gonna give one a taste, but I have a feeling that these are ready to go.
Yep. Sauce with just the plum tomatoes has come to a boil. It's starting to bubble, so I'm going to add the rest of the tomato sauce from the can. Everyone says you're not supposed to do this, but I always put a little water in there just to get the last of it. Probably because it's my dad's trick, and he was born just after the Great Depression, so they were poor, and that's what he knew. So that's the way I was taught to cook. You don't want to waste anything.
You don't want to waste anything. We don't waste anything in our house, right? Right, MJ? He tends to agree with us there. And I know that he is certainly ready to start eating food soon, which will be happening in the next couple of weeks.
Right?
That's right.
So I had added the sauce, so I'm going to salt and pepper again. I'm going to let this come up to a simmer.
And this pasta is ready to go.
I'm making a mess over here.
That's all right. Normally we clean as we go, but we'll spare you all of that. We'll just clean up once everything's done. But since this meal doesn't take a whole lot to actually put together, there isn't a whole lot of cleanup. But do you want to remove the pasta from the water? Are you ready for that yet or not yet?
Not quite. I would just take it off the heat. So
I did turn off the heat. We're going to move that back so that it stops cooking. If you want to stop it from cooking completely, you could always just take it out, put it into another bowl, and then mix everything together at that point. But since these are still just a little bit up okay, I'm going to leave them right there because it's just going to be a moment before I cook for them.
Alright, so the sauce has now come to a nice simmer. I'm going to stir it up just a touch more. I'm going to bring the heat down to low to medium. And now I'm going to be able to add in my tuna. So I'm just going to use a fork to add that in. Scooping it in right from the can with the oil. And we're using 2 cans at, what are they, 4.5 ounces each? Yeah, 4.5 ounces each. So quick math, we're going to have 9 ounces in here. Tuna. What's up, MJ? He seems excited.
I think somebody had asked what type of tomatoes we used again. So we used like a 28-ounce can of plum tomatoes, and you saw that Jimmy had he removed the plum tomatoes, put them in first, kind of reserve the can's juices, leave that for later. He broke them up, and then he added the tomato sauce. We are going to put this recipe on our Instagram later on after we make this meal, so if you want the breakdown, you can get it there. And our Instagram is at OurDinnerisDunn, same as this name here.
So the tuna is in, and it does kind of stick together because it is chunk. So I'm just going to break it up with a fork so that it's all broken up.
You're doing great, baby.
So now my sauce is pretty much ready. I'm just going to give it a minute so that the tuna warms up, and then we're going to be able to add in our pasta.
Yes, and we're ready to go with that. I'll do the honors if you let me.
You may.
So like I said, this pot kind of just lets you pull it right out. You're going to have some of the water drain from here, so you're just going to plop it right in. Just be careful not to burn your fingers.
It's hot.
It's hot. You could use a utensil instead.
No need.
He loves, we constantly will say that to each other, or I'll constantly say that to him, like, use a pot holder, don't just use your fingers.
I constantly
It's
grab
hot.
things off the oven, out of the air fryer.
Yes, all the time. And there's pasta water in here, so like we said, it kind of saves it right here. If you were going to drain this in a regular colander, just set aside some of this pasta water. You're going to want about half a cup.
So I have that measuring cup, I'm ready. Just about half a cup. But I would add about a quarter of it at a time, because you don't want it to be too loose. And then I'm just going to stir. I'm just taking 2 wooden spoons, and I'm mixing everything together. You always want to mix your pasta in your sauce on the stove. You don't want to put your pasta into a bowl and then throw the sauce on top of it, because it's not going to coat all of the pasta. You want to mix the pasta in the stove, or in the sauce on the stove. And that's why you're also doing your pasta slightly under, because while it's sitting here on the stove, it's actually cooking through the rest of the way.
And that's really it.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Let's see, how long have we been doing this? About half hour or so?
20,
20 minutes. So it's a quick meal. It's a really easy meal. It's something that we make a lot here. One of the things that we realized when we were honeymooning in Italy was that we love really simple pasta dishes, and that's something that they're notorious there, for. American Italian food tends to be a little bit heavier, but the food in Italy, it's just bare bones ingredients, and they mix a couple of things together, and it's great.
Whoa.
And it sounds like somebody is ready to try it. Right? It sounds like he is. Let's see. Does anybody else have any other questions? I think it seems like we may have lost my mom on the chat. So hopefully she can see this again. This is something that I can ask my brothers now. But once we finish this live stream, I hope that it's saved. So maybe you can look at it again. I would think that happens. You are right. It smells amazing in here. It really does smell incredible. It smells like garlic. You smell the tuna, the capers. MJ agrees. He thinks it smells delicious. And right now, Jimmy, you just grabbed some Italian parsley. Some Italian parsley from outside. We have it growing in our yard. So usually what he'll do is he'll kind of roughly chop that and add that as a garnish on the top. But it also adds some nice flavor too. I will not be giving the baby food, Mark. Let me give him something to play with. Just a moment. Oh, what's going on?
All right, so I've turned the heat off to the pasta, so it is all ready. It's been nicely tossed, so the sauce is at a nice consistency. If I felt that it was too thick, I could add a little more pasta water, and then it's ready to go. So I've just stirred it around, so it's nicely mixed together, and we are ready to plate.
And this is his favorite part of any dish that we make, any pasta dish that we make. He recently purchased these special little pasta tweezer tong things where you can professionally plate the pasta and make it look very, very pretty.
I was very excited for this feature, just to be able to swirl a nice stack of pasta. So you don't necessarily need the tweezers. You could just do this with any set of tongs, but I just think it's a nice feature to be able to bring together a nice plate of pasta with a nice bit of height to it.
Yep. It definitely makes the food look pretty, and when your food looks pretty, it tends to taste better too. No, Jimmy was cutting some parsley in the background.
So now I'm just going to add a little bit of the sauce and the tuna right on top so that there's a touch more. Because even after you've mixed, some of that sauce is going to position itself off to the side. So based on how saucy you like it, you could add less or more. I prefer a little bit more on the saucy side. Sally likes a little less, so that one will be for her.
Yeah. Now wait a minute. I see a question here that says you want to judge us like Iron Chef. You want us to compete against each other, or you would just like to see us on that show? I would tell you right now, I don't want to compete against him. He would beat me out for sure. But we do like to just cook as a team, generally. I'm more of like the pasta person and the starches. He tends to cook the meat. A couple years ago, we actually stopped eating red meat and pork, so we tend to eat a lot of poultry and fish in this house. Oh, you want us to compete against each other? Yeah, that won't happen. With fried okra, we watch a lot of Chopped in this house, and you know that the fried okra, or the okra is very slimy and tends to get people to go home. But now we're ready to go. Jimmy's going to show you the plate of food, so hopefully you can take a look at
really
this and see it. But I'll tell you. Yeah, you can see it. If you want, maybe we could turn off the light. The ring light might be a little bit easier to see.
Oh, here you go, buddy.
This is the longest time he's probably had to sit without us. I mean, he's watching us, but usually when he gets like this, I'll pick him up. Now, let's see. Okay, he turned down the light, so hopefully you'll be able to see the food just a little bit better. He's going to pull up the plate.
Well, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Right here. Take a look at this. There it goes. So it's a really, really simple dish. There you go. He's trying to light it up. We're not that super tech savvy yet.
Oh, there we go.
Uh-oh.
What's up, buddy?
Pick him up.
Probably. So somebody doesn't want to sit in their high chair anymore, but there is a tuna puttanesca with linguine. Super simple meal. You saw that it took us under a half hour from the start time to the finish time.
Yeah, so we are going to say our goodbyes.
I don't know how this thing works.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to say our goodbyes, and we are going to go eat some dinner. So thanks for joining us. Hopefully we will come back on another time and make another meal for you. All right, so thanks a lot. Enjoy. Make this at home. It's very simple.
Yeah. Manja.